The U.S. Department of Education investigating a South Carolina middle school after a civil rights complaint was filed by the organization of my next guest, Erica Sanzi, Director of Outreach for Parents Defending Education. Erica, thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
I want to get some background on this. So administrators at Pickens Middle School in South Carolina noticed an increase of racial slurs and name calling, so they invited a guest speaker to give a presentation to the whole school, and then some smaller sessions based on a student's race. Tell us more about this and how your organization got involved.
Sure. So these were sort of lunch and learn sessions. Invitations were sent out based on a student's race, and they were going to be able to have a special lunch with a guest speaker. And it was explicit that African-American students were invited, Hispanic students were invited, and then students of two backgrounds were invited. So white and Asian students were excluded. And again, this was all based on the student's race.
And what was in your complaint to the Department of Education?
Well, our complaint was that, it's very simple, really, because you cannot discriminate based on race in a public school that receives federal funding. So this was a violation, blatant violation of Title VI of the Civil Rights Act, as well as the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. So we're just essentially saying you cannot have activities for students in a public school in which you include them or exclude them based on their race.
Yeah, and the school's principal, I read here, sent a letter to parents essentially informing them that the speaker would be giving the presentation about coping at a predominantly white school. So were parents given the opportunity for their child to opt out or opt in of these sessions?
That was unclear to us. In the complaint, we included the fact that there was no indication if these were voluntary or mandatory.
I want to read you the statement that Pickens County Schools sent. They said this: the original intention was to use these small group learning sessions as an opportunity for students of specific minority groups to ask questions of the speaker while surrounded by others like them, to create an increased sense of security for them to be open and candid. In order to make this a more informal and comfortable experience, the school administration decided to provide lunch during these learning sessions. What's your response to that?
Again, I suspect that this comes from a good place. The problem is that if you play this forward, that means that any group can justify excluding students based on their race. And we can't allow that to happen, right? We had segregated lunch counters. We passed laws to make sure that we never had them again. And so we can't move back into that direction, no matter how good the intentions may be of the people who are planning these events.
Yeah, and it's serious enough, obviously, for the U.S. Department of Education to investigate after you guys alerted them to this. How can someone alert you guys to something like this that they see happening at their school and remain anonymous?
Most people who contact us do remain anonymous, and our website is defendinged.org, and you can click on, I forget exactly what it says, but it says something like send a tip, and that allows you to send us information about something that's happening at your school that's concerning to you. Send us as much documentation as possible. We vet everything. And then, if we do see something of concern, we'll get back in touch with you and potentially, post it to our website, or in this case, even file a complaint with the Office of Civil Rights.
All right. Erica Sanzi, always great to see you. Thanks for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.